Welcome to the Qualified Gamer Guys podcast. I'm your host per usual. My name is Steve, and with me as always is Neil. How you doing, Neil?
I'm doing great, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's a great week. We actually have some games coming out this week, as opposed to weeks past. So exciting,
Yeah, it's been a bit of a drought, and we're finally
Yeah,
starting to get to some real releases.
we're getting into the part of the year where you're gonna have at least something every week. We'll talk about what's coming out this week in a little bit, but next week, you got Bloodborne. The week after that, for me at least, will be the show. The week after that, or 2 weeks after that, Mortal Kombat. So stuff's gonna be rolling in. We'll be playing a lot of stuff, so it's exciting. So before we get to games that are releasing in the future, let's look back, Neil. Let's look at this week in video game release history.
Take me back in time.
I will. This is a great one. March 21st, 1999, Pokemon Snap was released for the N64. What a game. Did you partake? I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely.
I played this game as a kid, and I just played it as every kid did. You just played the levels each, one at a time or whatever. I played it again in high school, and I downloaded the thing, or I went online and I found the tricks to get pictures of every single Pokemon, and I probably put 40 hours into it. So I played it more in 2007 than I did when it came out. So great game, so much fun.
I mean, that's the whole incredible thing about it, is that you can be a kid and play it, and you'll love it, and you'll take pictures of half the Pokemon in that game.
Yeah,
and then
you care.
Yeah, and it's some stuff you discover on accident. Back then, I remember Scyther in in the first level, you have to throw a bunch of rocks or whatever in the tall grass.
Yeah,
and then he comes out.
Yeah,
that was a total accident
Mm-hmm.
when it happened. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. And then there's I don't know. It was there's really intense, almost a time constraint where you have a level that's 45 seconds. You have
you'd
to
be
get everything.
You'd be swiveling back and forth to get all the stuff. You're
Yeah.
I gotta hit I'm in the lava level. You're I gotta get an apple in each three of these things. So that Ninetales comes out, and you're oh, I missed one. And you're I know I'm gonna have to play it again. So.
And then there's always the desperate Hail Mary throw to try to get it
Yeah.
in while you fly going away.
You're going so far away, and you just toss it in the air, and even if it goes in, you're gonna get the shittiest picture ever, because Ninetales at that point is 20 yards away.
And then because I always played it with a bunch of my friends, and they had their own too,
Yeah.
and it always became my picture's better than your picture.
Yeah.
And
I think, honestly, I thought about this. I talked about this with my friend. This is the one of the biggest single player games that people play in groups ever. Everybody played this as a kid. For some reason, everyone played this picture taking game, right? Because everyone loved Pokemon. And because of that, now when I would play with my friends, we'd all be oh, you throw it over there, throw it in there. And I don't think of any other single player game that so many people are just willing to sit there and watch,
Yeah, that's a really good point, because that's the same thing happened with me and my friends and my brothers and stuff. That I think it has to do with how short the levels are, and that you would try to do it and go, all right, let me go and I'll try to get this guy this time. And you're for whatever reason, it was just fun to watch people do it.
Yeah.
And I definitely remember a time when my friend was oh, hey, I discovered where, I forgot what the Pokemon was, but Mew or something like that. I discovered how to get Mew. I'm oh, you have to show me right now.
Well, that's the secret last level.
Yeah.
With the moon.
The little bubble, and you gotta keep throwing things at it and stuff like that. Oh,
you don't see the pictures, but when you get developed afterwards, they come out and you can see what you're taking pictures of.
Oh, it's great. So that was before internet times, when you had to.
Yeah.
And there was so many tricks, and that's why people keep saying they want it again, and they want it for the Wii U with the gamepad. Now I think
it would be so good.
It would be
there's so many more Pokemon now. That was just first gen. That was just first gen Pokemon. Now we're was we 6 gens in or 7 gens?
I have no idea. It's a lot.
I think it's 7. And it would be so much fun. And you got the Wii U's finally capable of outputting HD graphics, and it would be perfect. What really annoys me is they have these things that you can download from the eShop. That's here, look through the pretend you're standing in the Eiffel Tower by looking through your gamepad, you're looking through a window. And like you literally stand in the room, like you just like tilt it down, you like can look at the floor, you tilt it up, you can look at what it would be like to be on the Eiffel Tower in the sky. That just do that with Pokemon Snap.
Yeah,
That would be amazing.
that
And
would
like
be.
it's like you have a camera and you would, oh my god, it's so frustrating.
And because Nintendo would be like, get your official Wii camera, and they'd sell this whole
Yeah.
$40 camera that you just look through the same way and has one button on it that's just to take a picture. But it's what they should do. They probably won't. They could even to put a lot of time into it and do each of the new regions and have all the Pokemon locked to it, so you could do your favorite 150 from the original region. You could do all that, and it would just be have all the extras, have a ton of stuff. It doesn't even have to be a complex game. Just still have it on the rails or whatever like that. I don't know. But I wonder, it would be even better, I think, if it was virtual reality. That would be so cool. If you like,
I was gonna say if it was virtual reality, that'd be amazing.
Because that would be the one game where you literally don't have to move; you only have to turn. Like you could just sit in a chair and just look around, and you would not have to. Because even in the real game, I don't think you could turn all the like 360. I think you could go like. You could go like 9 degrees one way, and then you'd go the other way, or something like that. So it would even make sense that you wouldn't have to spin all the way around in your chair. So I don't know. I doubt they're going to do that, but they really should. I think
it'd be so fun.
If they came out at E3 one time, it's like, hey, look, Nintendo comes out and like, look, we have our own VR headset. We have a tech demo. We want you to see. Snap. Yeah, like we have a tech demo, and they put Pokemon Snap up on the screen. People would go insane.
You only need a VR. Just like release a headset where you could like hang your Wii U gamepad in front of your eyes, because that would be much more cost efficient. I think that you could just do this as like a $30 downloadable title, and you would sell millions of them. If you don't want to, I mean, like, and recently they've been doing like $40 budget titles, like Captain Toad. That was $40. That was like a full first party game, but they sold it for $40. Just do that with Pokemon Snap. You can make it disc based then, put a $40 price tag on, bam, you'll sell so many of them. And it's so funny because they whore out Pokemon for every type of game. They do like there's this free puzzle game on the 3DS that they just released that's Pokemon. They did like an amiibo thing before Amiibos. Not a lot of people know this. They have like these little Pokemon figures for this game called Pokemon Rumble on the Wii U, where you'd like go get them and then like tap them on the gamepad, they'd show up. But like they come out with Pokemon Snap, was that 16 years ago? And then they're just like, you know what, whatever, we're never doing that again.
Yeah, it's very strange. I don't like. They must know there's a demand for it. There's no way they don't know.
Neil, I'm looking at my N64 right now, and guess what game's in it? Pokemon Snap. I have 3 N64 games with me. They're Pokemon Snap, Mario 64, and Super Smash Brothers.
That's right. Oh man, you think they would? What if they do like a Hey You Pikachu before they do Pokemon Snap?
I would scream.
It would be like that. The stupid when the 3DS came out, there was all those dog games, like the pet games. And you could just pet your dog.
Dogs.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that for Pokemon. You get your favorite Pokemon, you do nothing with it.
Hey man, that would sell millions.
It would. It's so sad. They gotta do something eventually. There's no way. I think Nintendo's very slow moving, but there's no way they will ignore this forever. Because when you think about it, it's only been past few years, I think,
that people have been like, hey, like I want another one. Well, like I just think it really revitalized because it makes so much sense with the Wii U, is what it is.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. And now that now that the Wii U is, like you said, finally has 1080.
Yeah, and it's gaining steam as a console. You know, you have a lot of good games on there between Super Smash, Mario Kart, and Bayonetta 2, which all came out in the last 8 months.
I was gonna say this year has more or less put it back on the map, kind of.
Yeah,
like it kind of still got buried because Xbox One and PS4 came out this year, but it's compared to like the last couple of years, it's so much better.
In the year that, you know, since Xbox One and PS4 came out, in that calendar year, the Wii U had the best games by far, which is not surprising because the PS4 and the Xbox One were, you know, in their first year and you rarely get good games. I'm saying exclusives here. Okay. Like PS4's best exclusive was Infamous, right? Probably last year.
Let's think of the exclusive. There's Killzone, Infamous, Knack. Don't forget about Knack.
Knack. Yeah.
I think that's it. Is that
Yeah,
it?
I mean, like, I'd say that out of those, all three of Mario Kart 8, Super Smash, and Bayonetta 2 are better than any of those. All three of them are better. And then for the Xbox One, you have what? Titanfall, Master Chief Collection didn't work.
Rise.
Sunset Overdrive, which is like good, but it's like got like 8s or whatever. Like all those three games I mentioned before, like those are all like critically acclaimed. And I might even be forgetting one. Am I forgetting one, Neil?
I don't know, but I totally agree.
It's
Nintendo.
they have the momentum. They need to build on it. Which they actually did kind of build on it because like they dropped Smash Brothers and then a week later they had the direct and they're like, by the way, Zelda Wii U next year and Star Fox is coming out in the summer. So they're kind of doing that, but there's nothing until then that's coming. Well, actually, Splatoon comes out in May, but until May, like literally this entire year, nothing's come out on the Wii U that's worth it. That Kirby game came out and it was terrible. So, like they gotta keep it up. They can't lose it.
I think they will. I think. Well, let me say it this way: that the people who love the Wii still love the Wii.
I do. I love my Wii U. I just want to play more games on it. I'm not gonna. I probably unless I power it up for a few Smash Bros. Games here and there or Mario Kart 8. That the next DLC actually comes out in May too, which will be exciting. But then I'm probably not turning it on until May when Splatoon comes out. So,
well, here's the way I'm thinking of it: people who already had the Wii U, they still love it. They already love it. People who got it in the past year because of these games have a big backlog of games to play. So it will keep them entertained until the next year. So I think the Wii U is gonna start doing better and better. But it's still, I think, getting drowned out by the PS4 and Xbox because those are still the main media attention.
It's a different. It's the perfect secondary console. You can't just have a Wii U. You have to have an Xbox One or a PS4. But I think it's great to have a secondary system because the games that come out on it, you're not going to get anywhere else. You know, they're so different. And especially, like I was saying last year, my game of the year is Bayonetta 2. So right there, buy it.
I mean, it's definitely, it's always, I mean, now we're getting the whole console wars, but it's always, Nintendo, I always recommend to people that are like, have kids, have a group of friends, have like, there's five like siblings in the house. Like, it's that kind of game system.
It's not, it's, you know, it's a social system, but it's fun. But anyway, Neil, Pokemon Snap, that came out 16 years ago. So, that was a great game. One of the best, I think, this week in video game release history we've had in a while. So,
I think so. I mean, hopefully someday we'll get to move it to the release section and get to talk about it coming out.
Could you imagine, Neil? That would be like podcast 300. All right,
that would be when I get the Wii U finally.
That's what's going to push you over the edge. All right. It only took you 5 years to actually, you know. The 3DS has only been out like 3.5 years, so that wasn't too bad for you to get that.
Well, the last handheld I owned was a Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
So that's like including like Vitas or PS Portable or whatever. That's like I don't have handhelds. But I mean that's I'm getting into them. I haven't played them in a while in the past couple of weeks, but they go so greatly with Netflix.
It's do.
Amazing.
That's the best. I love throwing something on TV and playing a game and just like paying half attention to both. Which is great about Codename Steam, which I'll be mentioning later, which is great about Fire Emblem too, because those turn-based strategy games are perfect. So
any game where you have to wait.
Yeah, where you have to wait or anything. All right, so yeah, Pokemon Snap, March 21st, 1999 and 64. I'm sure most of our listeners have played that. Let's move on to what's coming out this week. Let's stop living in the past, is what I'm trying to say. Let's move on to the future. We have games this week, Neil. Who knew games come out? Finally. Every week. So we'll start with the latest edition of Resident Evil Revelations 2. This is episode 4. Is it 4 of 5? Yeah, right. There's another one coming out next week, I think. And
there's one more coming out. I just updating weekly. This is some shock that it's going to be on.
So episode 4 comes out, episode 5 comes out the week after that, and I think the disc-based version with episodes 1 through 5 comes out the week after that. So keep your eye out for that.
I want to see if there's a big spike once the CD comes out. Yeah,
I'll be interested to see. I think a lot of people have been holding off reviews until the full thing comes out. So
That makes
very
sense.
it's a really interesting thing to release something episodically, but just to do it once a week, you know? Like they're just doing it in a row. It's like you're watching a TV show or like a mini series, I guess, because there's only five. It's like, oh yeah, like every Tuesday at 5, if you preload it, you're like, I can play Resident Evil, a new section. So that'd be cool.
I think they're realizing that people are more likely to spend the same amount of money if you break it up over a period of time
That's
versus just one
true.
big thing.
That's true. If you're like, hey, like every episode's $10, like I kind of like Resident Evil, and then they probably, I haven't played it. I eventually will. They probably end every episode on a cliffhanger to like get you to like spend that next $10. So
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. I'm sure everyone was like, I'm going to play the first episode and see how it is.
yep,
Oh, I like it. I might as well get the next ones.
yep.
Versus, but it's so different because I mean, The Walking
It is.
Dead comes out like I don't know every 8 weeks or something, a new one episode, and then like eight
Speaking
weeks
of
later they'll come out with a whole CD.
speaking of The Walking Dead, where's my Borderlands episode 2? I played that in early December. I'm still waiting for episode 2.
It got announced. It's coming.
I know it's coming eventually. So, all right, yeah, Resident Evil Revelations 2. If you've been playing 1 through 3, have fun. If you haven't been playing 1 through 3, I do not recommend picking up episode 4. All right.
I agree.
Next year we got Bladestorm Nightmare. Bladestorm Nightmare.
Do you know what this game is?
No, but I'm going to tell everyone what it comes out on.
Okay.
Xbox One, PS4, PS3, PC. Neil, what the hell is this?
So Bladestorm, the reason I have it on here is when I first got a PS3, I downloaded every demo I could because I wanted to play every game there was. And there was this game called Bladestorm, the 100 Years War. And you got to think of it as, it's basically almost like medieval Total War. It's like a tactical game like that.
Is it? I had Destiny Warriors or Destiny Warriors in my head.
But I was going to say it's like that you zoom in like that.
Okay.
And you control one character, but it's not just hack and slash endlessly. Like you don't just take out like 1,000 people with one character.
Well, what's the fun in that?
You get to like you'll be the guy in front of 1,000 people, and you'll tell them like, all right, archers, I want you to shoot over there, and I want you horsemen. Cavalry is another way to say that, to charge over here. And so it's a tactical game while you're involved in the war that's happening.
Okay.
And like I played it and there was like castles, and it is kind of like Dynasty Warriors where like there was a bunch of forts I had to like lead my troops to take, and like I'll get the archers on a hill to like bombard it as I like run down the hill. And so it's interesting because this game came out, I don't know how many years ago, but at least 5 years maybe. So I don't know if it just got popular again. Maybe it ported to the PC first and people picked it up. It was a really interesting game that I only played the demo, but I considered it was good enough that I kind of wanted to play it. So like I'm going to keep my eye on this. I see this being one of those games that drops really low eventually. But it could be, I don't know, worth mentioning for anyone that likes tactical games, but not just sitting and watching them happen.
Fair enough.
That might be codenamed Steam, but go on. We'll get to that later.
We will talk to that. By the way, we were wrong. Resident Evil, this is the last episode, and the full disc for $40 comes out tomorrow as well. So
there's only 4 episodes? How strange.
4 episodes. Yeah, I know. 4. They want to wrap that up.
Yeah,
okay. This one's something that you're excited about. It's Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. Now, be honest with me. Are you more excited for this game or the long demo that comes for Final Fantasy 15?
I saw the greatest comment on online when it was just like there was all these reviews are currently coming out for Type 0 and they're saying it's a good game. And so one of the comments was wow, Type 0 is going to be a great bonus to the $60 3-hour game I just bought.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I mean that's what everyone really wants, and I want to ask you eventually after I talk about Type 0 for a little bit if you think it's okay to still attach demos to physical games like this. But before we get into that, Type 0, from what everyone is pretty much saying and what I knew before I even got it, what I assumed, is that the story is very complex, too complex to understand, and they don't even try to explain it. They just like assume you're going to read up on it first.
So far, this is Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's one of the things where they give you an encyclopedia, and they're like, oh, hey.
Good luck.
Just read. If you don't read it, you're not going to get it. And it's dark. It's like a whole war. There's like, apparently the opening scene is really just dark all about it. and they say that all the spells used like, oh, water or ice. It's all like ice bullets, like water whip. Like it's all like just everything is twisted in this war sense. And I think it's supposed to take place in like a universe that one of them has already taken place in.
Oh, Jesus.
Which Final Fantasy doesn't do that. So this is new for them to do. They usually keep all the games separate unless if it's like 13.2, 13.3, whatever they do.
Mm-hmm.
But they say the action in this game is top notch. It's like it's not turn based. It's almost not hack and slash. Like action. There's some crazy.
It's an action RPG, right?
Yeah, and there's like a crazy counter system that is tough at first, but you get used to it, and it's like you do all these moves, you build a party, you can like they all have their own specialties. It's like a group of people you kind of like bond with. So it's interesting. I haven't played it before when it came out long ago on the PS Vita, and they say it's doing really well so far. The reviews are all saying it's worth playing, and so I'm excited to play it. But like you said, I am definitely more excited to play the demo. I'm basically going to put this game in, download the demo, and just play the demo for Final Fantasy 15. Because that's all I'm really waiting for. But this is like, that's the one I'm going to binge play and do everything I possibly can in it. And then Type 0 is going to be like, oh, I have like a Saturday, and I don't feel like playing Bravely Default. I'm going to play Type 0 instead.
Mm-hmm. So, I do have a question, though.
Okay.
Like, were you aware that the Final Fantasy demo is like its own thing?
It's
it's like not part of the game or whatever, like the actual Final Fantasy game.
You mean the Final Fantasy 15 demo doesn't have to do with the actual game Final Fantasy 15?
Yes.
It's its own separate little section. Yeah, I kind of there's like
it's like it's not going to be in the game, which leads me to the fact that I think it's okay to include that because I think it's more of a teaser than a demo. If that section you're playing is not in the actual game, then that's fine. It's like here's like 3 hours that you'll never see again. That like utilizes the mechanics that you'll be using in 15, but it's not actually a part of 15. So
yeah, it's basically a tech demo that you can play yourself.
Yeah.
That's
what it seems like. Or something you would see at like a trade show or something.
Yeah, it's what they would have if you want to like PAX East and they let you get your hands on it. It's what they give you, like an enclosed little test that you can mess around in. But it's impressive that it's 3 hours long. There's lots of stuff. There's collectibles. There's a boss in it. They say there's a little story at the end that they tell you about the game.
Okay.
So it's worth it's that's your motivation to like get to the end or whatever like that. But I just want to mess around in it and stuff like that. But I guess what I meant with do you think demos should always be downloadable now? Maybe not free. Maybe like, hey, look, you can pay $10 and get this.
I don't want to be paying for demos, so no.
You don't want to pay. Well, technically, you're almost paying for this demo in a way. Like that's what people are saying.
You're getting a full-fledged game that would be $60 anyway. I think.
Okay. So you don't think? Because some people are complaining like, I don't want to play Type 0, but you're forcing me to. And other people are saying just have the demo free and separate. Or a lot of people say they would pay $10 to play the demo or $15. And the other thing about Type 0 is it's attached to the pre-order. So you might not even get it unless you pre-order the game. Oh, so it's one of those things.
That's a little sleazy then.
Yeah, so
I didn't know. I thought it was just like on disc. I didn't know it was attached to a pre-order.
No,
did you pre-order? Are you getting this?
I did. It's one of the few games I've ever pre-ordered.
Are you getting this tomorrow? Are you playing?
I sold Evolve and immediately just put the money on Type 0. So.
That's a good idea.
Which did I tell you that after I sold Evolve, I had it for like 2 weeks. It was already down to $30. I thought it would be 40. That's crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, but so I'm looking forward to it. Steve doesn't know it, but I'm going to let him share play Final Fantasy 15 so he can understand what it is, because I really want him to get into it.
I can't wait.
I think you'll like it at this point. Now that you've played some turn-based games and you kind of like...
That's the thing. I'd never played a turn-based game while like Final Fantasy was relevant, so...
Yeah.
And my favorite turn-based RPG ever is essentially Final Fantasy, because it's Bravely Default, which we'll be talking about a little bit, but...
Yeah, I'm going to say 15, a little different than Bravely Default. But
yeah, I'm sure it is.
I know what you mean.
They just said that like Bravely Default was like a spiritual successor to the original Final Fantasies.
Yeah, so. Like I remember we talked about it before that. It's like a hardcore old school. Like they're very
Yep.
forgiving.
With
Like
with the job system and the
yeah,
you leave and all your party members are still fainted and all that. So
yeah, because like even in Final Fantasy 13, every time a battle was over, you were automatically healed.
I don't
Like
like that. I hate
and
it.
and a lot of people hated it, and I liked it for the simple fact that the director of that game was like, look, the only thing it does is it stops you from pausing the game and healing everybody. It's just cutting out 10 seconds you do after every battle, anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean,
Streamlining it, Neil. That's what it's called. Streamlining. It's a
and basically,
buzzword.
it's the equivalent of in Bravely Default that you can. Let's say you had a battle, you did really badly in it, but you got out and you have no magic or items. You just turn the encounter rate to 0 and walk away.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Well, I love that's something in Bravely Default I think is so cool. Like if you need to grind, you can just like hit the counter rate up to 200, and then you can fast. You can what do they call it? Like
Fast
you
travel.
if you fight a battle once and then you go into the next battle and you hit L, it'll just copy what you did in the last battle exactly, and you can just speed it up. So basically, like, if you have a pattern that works against the people you're encountering and you need to grind, then just put the encounter rate up to 200, fight one battle, go into the next battle, hit L, and it will just automatically go through the motions of the exact same commands you did last battle. You can just keep doing that, and it'll take what would be grinding for an hour and make it, like, maybe 10 minutes, and then you can move on with your life. So,
Okay, that's
it's
really cool.
Really cool.
Like I knew you could turn the encounter rate up, and like I like that a lot. I think every game should have that. Every RPG should have that. I didn't know. You told me before you could repeat your moves, but I didn't think about it like that. Like because I could easily see that just running in a circle, battle, hit one button, let it
hit one button. It'll run through like your thing. So like if you're like all these guys are vulnerable to fire, then you could just make the move be whoever you have as your mage. Brave him 4 times and just do 4 fire spells, and it will kill them all every time. And then just default everyone else. And if it happens to take another time, you could just stop the fast forwarding and then actually finish it and go back into the next one.
All right, here's a question. So let's say that's what it takes. It would take 4 fire moves to kill them.
Yep.
If one doesn't die, will your game repeat that step again, or will it stop?
It'll just basically
you need to do something new.
Basically, it'll just because he'll be out of turns, he'll just be vulnerable. But since you told everyone else to default, they'll just keep defaulting, so you can just stop the thing and then step in and stop the people from defaulting and say just use your sword and finish him off, and then we'll go through it again the next time. But it's really useful. That game is so accessible for a turn-based RPG. That's why I think I like it so much. It knows you have to grind. It knows that it's annoying, but it gives you so many tools to grind that I literally sat down with the game and I only did grinding for 2 hours once. I just said, I'm just going to watch TV and kind of pay attention to this. And then for 2 hours, I leveled myself up where I never had to grind again. So it's just it was nice.
That's perfect. I like that.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about RPGs is in every one, there's usually a lot more opportunities, but at least there's one opportunity where you can completely abuse the game and just max out your characters.
Yep.
And this sounds like they're allowing you to do that more freely. You don't have to go to this particular area. It's just oh yeah, you know what? I can just
I did it right. And then another thing before we move on, because we can't talk about Bravely Default forever.
We could
just make sure that you're aware, because I didn't know this till halfway through the game. You can cast your healing magic spells outside of battle, so you don't have to waste potions. You could just go to whoever your white mage is, select her abilities and select heal, and you can heal whoever you need by her casting a spell. Just when you're running around the overworld, you don't have to just throw potions at them.
Right, let me tell you, Steve. You just sounded like the biggest RPG amateur of all time.
Well, I didn't know that, but I'm telling you now.
You make a really good point, because that's
because I never played turn-based, and they bury it deep in the menu. You have to go to abilities to utilize, and then you have to scroll down all the abilities that she ever could use and go to the heal one, and then you hit that. And I hit that because I was looking to see how many points it healed. And then once I did that, it popped up. It was oh, do you want to heal someone? I was well, that would fucking help. Yeah.
Yeah. Bravely Default is a little menu heavy. I'm not gonna lie.
It is menu heavy. That's the only thing I don't like about it. But,
yeah. And you're totally right, because since I did play old school turn-based games, that was like the first thing I looked for. Like before she had the cure spell, because I bought it. I saw it in the store and I bought it, and I tried to use that before potions. But you make a good point that I never even thought of that. That if you didn't play the old games, you wouldn't.
No, I would have never idea. And then like because it's not like explicitly told to you or whatever in the menus, and they're not really intuitive, that it was really hard for me to find. But
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm glad that you know.
I'm glad you
All
found it. I'm glad you get.
I know because it made my life a lot easier because that cure spell is 100
Was
times
you like
better.
buying potions every time you went to like the store?
Yeah, I was. Oh no, like there's like those little merchants before the boss battles. I just get everything from.
Which I also
I'll tell you what,
like. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's move on.
I was just gonna mention that my Agnes, who was my white mage, her heal spell by the end. Oh my god, unbelievable!
I can't wait to get there because I'm like an hour
into
it.
There's some boosts that you can do that get her to like heal in like 10,000 every time she casts, which is amazing.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah, and then you also get some really cool items that later in the game they're like really specific, where it's like, hey, like you're like really really vulnerable, but this boosts your healing by like 4,000 points, like that kind of stuff.
I like stuff like that. Like a lot of that's always the deep
risk
RPGs
reward
that have like risk reward systems. Like, oh hey, you have 3. Like this is in Suikoden. There's always one rune that's like, for 3 turns you are going to have double all your stats can be double, but on the 4th turn you're going to go to level 1, or 1 health left, and you're going to have like almost no stats.
There's also so basically what I would do in Bravely Default is one of the job classes has an ability. It's like you cast it using MP, and I think it's called Bodyguard. So basically, every time they went to go attack her, he steps in front. I did it as Ring a Bell. And he would step in front, and he took the attack for her, so she would never get hit. But because he was so powerful, like, their damage wouldn't even bother him. So basically, like, he would take, attacks directed towards him and her. But, because I had her with so much healing, I could just like completely take that out of the equation. So there's some really cool party things you can do in that game, which is why I enjoyed it so much. Yeah, because there's like 20 different jobs. So like I could play that game that way. You come up with a completely different combination that really works for you. So it's interesting.
That's what I really like about RPGs, and I don't think they get enough credit for that. So that's why I hope I'm going to get you into Final Fantasy 15. Maybe that's going to be a whole new thing.
We came full circle after talking about Bravely Default. I talked about Bravely Default for 10 hours.
Did my best.
All right. Bring it back. So also coming out tomorrow, or today, when this is posted, Battlefield Hardline is coming out for basically everything other than the 3DS and Wii U. No 3DS version. Can you imagine? I might play this eventually. I don't know. It could be a summer game.
Yeah. I love Battlefield. I love Battlefield.
I know you love Battlefield.
I've been trying to get Steve to play Battlefield for a really
long time. We had some fun with the beta. Let me say that.
The beta was a lot of fun. It would be a game we would probably buy if I wasn't buying Final Fantasy Type 0 and you weren't buying Codename, Steam, and like whatever else, maybe Bloodborne. It came out at the wrong time.
It's a bad time. I don't know why they would release it now.
It got delayed, right? It was going to come out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think this would be better just to delay till June. You release this in late June, there's nothing else coming out the entire summer, you would sell a lot more copies.
I never know why games don't come out in June.
I don't know either. You know what? Just look at Dying Light. That game came out at the perfect time. Literally so perfect that game sold like over 1 million copies in its first month and a half, which no one would have said that game was going to... I mean, it turned out to be a good game. Like, that was actually a really enjoyable game. But it would have gotten overlooked if it was, like, the same week as something else. They picked a perfect release date for that. So I don't know what they're doing with this. I know they're like, oh, this is Battlefield, it'll be fine. But there's already, like, kind of like a middling talk about it that, maybe this isn't that great, so...
Yeah, I like the fact that they are trying something different. They're just like, hey, look... Like, how many games really do that? Like, if Call of Duty came out and was suddenly like, hey, look, we're going, like, realistic. We're going, like, giant levels with tanks and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That would be absurd.
That was Call of Duty.
You're right, back in the day.
3. Yeah, Call of Duty 3 had usable vehicles online.
But to do that now would be crazy. And that's almost what this is doing. It's like, look, you're not going to have dogfights in the air. You're not going to have tank battles. You're going to have cops and crooks, basically.
Yeah.
which is interesting because again, we said we had fun, and I think if we got it, I think we absolutely would have fun. It's not that we think it's a bad game.
I
It's
think that
just the timing.
we'll play it. We won't play it now. I think honestly, I think it's like when that thing hits $40 and it's June, and we're sitting at work, I'll be like, hey, Battlefield Hardline's 40. You want to buy it? I'll be like, yeah, whatever. I'm not paying it.
I think we make our best purchases at work.
We
when
do.
When we're just sitting there, we're like, yeah, I kind of want this game.
Yeah. Yeah. So not much to say on that right now. It's something I definitely am interested to read some reviews on tomorrow because I really don't know what's gonna
Same
be
here.
talked about. So, and then last we have a Wii U game. Which is funny because I just said there's nothing coming out till Splatoon in May, but I stand by that because this game is garbage.
It's gonna be great. No, let me rephrase that. It's gonna be like Mario Party.
It's going to be Mario Party. Mario Party 10 comes out. Yeah, I stopped caring about Mario Party 9 when I think I told you this. They put everyone in the same car, and it's the worst thing ever. So you all move together. You're not like on a board playing a board game anymore. It's so streamlined. It's so terrible. Which is a shame because I think this is like the perfect game for asymmetrical gameplay with the Wii U. You know, like, oh, like you have a 3v1, pass whoever the one is the gamepad and let's see what happens. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're totally right. It's strange. I think my thought on Mario Party I told before, it was like one of my worst, least favorite series or whatever. So I think it's just going to be another Mario Party game. It's going to be fun with friends. It's just what it is. But you seem really upset about this.
No, trust me, I played 9. 9's awful. The only thing that's kind of a saving grace for this is there seems to be a pretty cool mode called Bowser Party, in which one person just plays as Bowser the whole time, and you just like use the gamepad and you just fuck with the other people the entire time. Like you like drop down like red spaces in front of people, and like during mini games you like flick people off or like hold them in place so they can't dodge. So like that's kind of cool.
Nintendo, it's so great that all Nintendo's games are always about playing with other people and like all that. And every single game they come out with, they always have one character that's like, yeah, you can just screw this person over through them.
That's it. So they're all about, you know, getting those fights, but I think that mode could be cool, but not worth the $60. So
okay,
and like I'm not excited for it. And that tells you something because I love the Wii U and I love Mario games, but just not on my radar. So anyway, that's the games, Neil. That's it. No more games are coming out ever. So I hope you like those ones.
I do. I actually do.
All right. Before we go into the news, let's pop into the our special segment. I almost gave it away without saying. We have a special segment this week. You know why? Because this is posting on St. Patrick's Day. What do you do on St. Patrick's Day, Neil?
You drink a lot.
Yeah. So we have your 5 best games to drink and play with your friends. This is the actual title. Write this down for St. Patrick's Day. So me and Neil talked about good games that are just fun to, you know, drink with some friends and play, and 4 of them are on the N64, and all of them are Nintendo games. Anyway, these are in no particular order, by the way. These are just 5. We got the first one being Mario Kart 64. I'd say.
Yeah, 60. It has to be 64.
You play drunk driving. We're not condoning drunk driving, but you play the game called drunk driving, in which that, you know, you can't operate your cart and drink your beer at the same time. It's always a cause for hilarity. There's a lot of different strategies. You could either be one of the ones that tries to the race starts and you just finish your beer and it's just race, or you like, you know, do a lap, do a drink, do a lap, do a drink, do a lap, do a drink. Where there's some people that do the entire race and just sit at the finish line and try to chug it there and then just like crawl over. So it's pretty fun. What do you use? Do you play? Have you ever played? What do you? What is your,
I'm
like intermittent. I like do a lap, do it, do a lap, do it, do a lap, do it.
I've played it 2 ways. I'll either just pound it in the very beginning and just get it done and then just race, or sometimes I play with people say you can drink at the same time, which kind of defeats the purpose because then you can literally just like on a straightaway you just hold it and then you just drink.
I've had that where you can drink at the same time, but while you're drinking you have to steer at your chin, which has always been fun.
As you're drinking?
as you drink it, like your head's up and you're not looking or whatever. You like
Oh, okay.
hold it up and you rock the controller back and forth on your chin to like turn. That's pretty fun. Because like that just adds to it. Because obviously, if you were drinking and driving, you'd be kind of driving in a roundabout way, like you would be if you were controlling it with your chin. So, that's a fun game.
It's so simple too. It's like there's not. It's like look, drink the beer before you finish the race.
Yep. So it's fun. Second one we got here is Super Smash Brothers, which is like there's not a particular drinking game that I have for Super Smash Brothers, but it's just fun to play. And the thing with Smash is there's a perfect level of drunk when you play Smash, in which that your inhibition is gone, so you're not playing defensively, but you're not drunk enough to not be able to pull off the moves. So you're just like so fearless. You're jumping into every battle and you're pulling everything off with such efficiency. But after you get to that point, which would maybe last 1 or 2 games, your play goes down dramatically as you continue, because then you're just slow in every regard. So, have you ever experienced that pinnacle of drunk Smash playing? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
You get to that point, you're like, I am unbeatable in this one section. So,
but the whole thing is not everyone at the same time, but if you're all drinking together, there's that moment when everyone is at that same point, so everyone's just fighting in these brawls and doing these awesome things, and then you're having a blast. And what we did is we'd always had depends how hardcore you want to get with it, but every time, because we would do stock, every time you died, you had to drink or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But I mean, you make your own rules. Have some fun with it.
Yeah. We would. The fun part about Smash is after you've been playing for a while and you're all smashed. Get it? You can do dumb stuff, like all of a sudden you realize, let's all play as Jigglypuff and dumb stuff, which is always fun. Because there's nothing better than people just floating around as Jigglypuff when they have poor control. So, that's our second game. Again, these are no order, just to list it. Third, we have Mario Party, which is mostly listed because it's a game where you already are irritable and get angry at each other, and if you add alcohol to it, that just gets worse and worse. And it's I don't think there's any particular drinking game I've ever played with this. I think maybe I played once. If you land on a red space, you have to drink. But I mean,
it's kind of like
it's just like a game that you play, and it's like a loud game with arguing.
Yeah,
and it's fun to get together, and you're playing this with friends. Add some beer to it, and it'll be a good time. Number 4 is GoldenEye, another N64 game. I think this is another one of those Super Smash situations where you get to the part of you get to the pinnacle of effectiveness with no inhibitions, and then after that you get pretty bad pretty fast. So, it's funny.
I never did. Never drank with GoldenEye, but it's another game I don't really like.
It's terrible. Like when you play GoldenEye now, that game is terrible.
But people love it for some reason.
It's a single stick first person shooter. Think about that. And you stop and your gun aims his wrist does all these unnatural things as he's trying to aim at all the corners of the screen with that little target. Yeah. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's just twisting. But it is a fun game. You can play Odd Job only, which is fun. Yeah. It's just hats are flying everywhere. And the last one here, which is probably the most dangerous,
absolutely,
is to play Wii Sports, like bowling or something, because that's just it's fun and everyone's getting active and I think that's a good one because if you're having friends over, put Wii Sports on. It's probably the most accessible video game that's ever been released.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone can get in on it and have fun playing bowling or tennis or baseball or something. So
yeah, it's literally.
I would not suggest boxing.
It's literally one of those games where you if you had a party, you just put it on.
You put it on.
If people want to play, they can. It's a thing to talk about.
Yeah, you leave the controllers there and people will figure it out. Which is the same thing for our honorable mention, which is Rock Band. Which is the same, if you just leave that out of a party and you leave it on, people will gravitate towards it, and that's really fun just to play and drink, just like actual rock bands do. They drink on stage and they have a great time.
Yeah, it's
So
if you ever want to get the person to really belt out the vocals,
yeah,
you put the
exactly.
drunkest person on the mic, and they're good to go.
Absolutely. So there you go. 5 drinking games to play for St. Patrick's Day: Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, Mario Party, GoldenEye, Wii Sports, and Rock Band. So
Good stuff.
anyway, did we talk about Rock Band 4 last week? I can't remember.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Here we go. We got some news, but this is getting long, so we might have to throw through some news.
Well, some of the stuff is pretty short here. There's not much to talk about, in depth wise at least. But knowing us, we'll start talking about like the PS1 days or something like that.
Well, always. We got this War of Mine DLC coming out, which benefits War Child charity. You put this on here. Do you want to explain what it is?
So I just saw this before I sat down. If you don't know what this War of Mine is, it's basically kind of like a strategy puzzler type of game. I guess I shouldn't have said puzzler. More like Choices, Walking Dead kind of stuff, where like you have to make a choice to see if you can get your people to survive the longest. It's the whole point of it is that you are survivors in a war zone. You're not fighting the war. You're not a part of the war. You're just trying to survive as civilians during this conflict. And it's supposed to be like a new take on like war video games and stuff, which is all it's does pretty well review wise. People like it, and so they just announced the DLC that all it is going to be they teamed up with street artists, and there's going to be graffiti on the walls of the game. So it's not a big change.
Yeah.
There's no new gameplay or anything. It's just like a new cool little artsy thing. They're all like anti-war kind of graffiti and stuff like that. I think the price you can get to pay from either $1 to $9. Like it's just you pay what you want to pay. It's not like packages or anything like that.
Okay.
And the
so kind of like a humble bundle.
Yeah, basically. And the whole thing is going like 100% of the profits are going to the War Child charity. So it's basically I really like the idea that they made a game kind of spreading awareness of what war zones are like for people. And then they're now using that game to benefit charities for war zones like that. So I think that's really cool. I think it's a very creative way to do it.
It's good. I like when developers are proactive and do such things. So
Yeah.
cool on them. What else we got here? Something that we both knew was going to happen.
Yeah, not even,
I don't even have to mention it. Uncharted 4 was delayed to the first half of 2016 or spring. I think they said spring. So basically, whatever week Bloodborne's coming out, so next week, that pretty much just pencil in 2016. That's the day that Uncharted's going to come out, because I think that they'll want to get it out before the end. So what's the fiscal year end? It's at the end of March. Yeah, they'll want to get it out before that. So a year from now, essentially, you'll be playing Uncharted 4.
It was originally announced for the fall, right?
Yeah, the fall. So they're kicking like 6 months.
Yeah, because that's when.
Which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, we knew this was going to happen. A lot of people did.
And then, I saw the article today, rumors that an Uncharted HD collection is going to be replacing it, which is the exact thing we said. Me and Neil, I think it was podcast 2 or 3, we said that Uncharted 4, no way it comes out this year. It'll come out in the first half of 2016, and taking its place will be an HD collection to get everyone ready for it, which seems to be happening. I'm assuming they will announce that trilogy thing at E3.
I do too.
And because that's not something that it's probably almost done already.
They probably put a third party studio on it.
Yeah, except they probably, I was gonna say Ready at Dawn, but they just finished up the Order because they take over that stuff a lot. But I'm trying to think who did the
Jack and Daxter.
Was it Jack and Daxter? No, what was the name of the studio that did the Sly Cooper? Was it Sakurai Games? I think.
I don't know.
So, I think that studio would be a good choice. Or it's just you have so many people inside of
Sony.
Inside Sony that just give it to one of them. They'll do a good job with it.
I like the idea that I know it doesn't really work like this, but I picture Sony's like, look, whatever Naughty Dog wants, they get. Every other developer under us is just going to work for them. I
think that they do get that, because I heard something similar to that where they wanted help with Uncharted 3, and they caused I think they gave it to Sony Bend, and they're like, you're not working on whatever you're working on anymore. You're assisting Naughty Dog for the next 3 months.
Yeah,
'Cause they know, like Sony, like they don't own Naughty Dog, do they? Or do they? I think they got part of it, right?
no, I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay,
They
they know, like Naughty Dog, hands down, is the best developer around right now.
yeah,
Hands down,
not even
not
like
even close. Not
PlayStation,
even
just
close.
like
No,
developer.
hands
Period.
down, Naughty Dog is the best developer around. It's not even up for debate.
It's not.
The Uncharted games are great. The Last of Us is just like literally could be considered the best video game to ever come out. And you're looking at Uncharted 4, its first foray into the next gen. I think that'll be good, but I think whatever Naughty Dog does after Uncharted 4, so their second game on the new system, once they're a little bit more used to it, I think that's your next Last of Us. That next game that's like, this is insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think they're doing like the thing I like about Uncharted. Not
well,
Uncharted.
actually,
I mean,
they're two team now. So that second game is probably already in development.
they
They split teams.
yeah, which makes it seem like it's 50-50, but I think they explain it that's like 90% is with
Yeah,
Uncharted,
yeah.
10% is in a room thinking about the next game. So when Uncharted is done, they'll be
Yeah.
like, "Look, here's our ideas. Let's start this." So they're not starting from scratch. They have people on it, but it's not like they're developing it side by side. Uncharted has like almost all the attention, which it should really at this point.
Yeah. You know what's weird though? I always think like Last of Us came out in June. Like, I think it was because the PS4 is coming out later that year, but like that's like a huge game that comes out and it didn't come out in like the October to December time frame. You know,
And everyone bought it because
Yeah,
there was
everyone
nothing
bought it.
else.
well, no, and I mean Naughty Dog dropping game in June that was delayed though that game, but still,
Which is
June-
fine.
You know what I see? The Batman this year is going to do so well because that game's in June now. Is going to
Oh,
do
yeah.
so well. That trailer they released was awesome. Everyone's so pumped for it, and there's nothing in the way of it. So that and it looks incredible. It looks absolutely incredible. Like I'm saying, graphics wise, gameplay is obviously going to be fun if you like those games. But it looks incredible. I think you're going to get. It's got so much hype behind it now, and there's nothing around it. They're going to sell so many more copies of people that just need something to play. So anyway,
I think so. Yeah. If I don't know what I really don't like. I'm sure there's budgets and like you said, the fiscal year. There's like this time constraints. But making something come out in June, you're going to get more sales. Like you're just
100%.
going to,
Mhm.
unless if some really smart guy has done the analytics and is like, no, even if it comes out in June, you'll get more sales before Christmas in November. Like I don't know if that's the thing.
You probably will, but that's only if you're one of the top games. If what I never understood is like why lesser games want to even try and release in the November timeframe.
I would never if I like
Because
if,
it's not worth it.
I would. November is owned by Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed.
Well, even like me, like I would probably have played Dragon Age if it came out not in November. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if Dragon Age came out earlier in the year or later in the year, I'd probably play it. But it got lost in the games, and I'm so far past it now that I'm probably not going to go back and play it. Same thing for Assassin's Creed. This is the first Assassin's Creed I haven't played ever. But like that also came out to a lot of issues. But I'm not going to go back to that unless it's really cheap.
I was almost going to tell you that it was on sale for $20 at one point.
Ah, I would have grabbed it for that. But
It might have been the PC only. There was a reason why I didn't tell you. But that's
you don't like me.
yeah, of course. Even like Shadow of Mordor, which came out in September, nothing was around it.
Yeah, that was a
Everyone
great
got
game,
it and
too.
they loved it. So like
That was a great game.
release dates really matter. Uncharted 4 being delayed, not a shock at all. We expected it. I'm gonna get the HD collection. I usually don't get those,
100%.
but
Yes.
I love
So
those
good.
games and I
You
want
know why?
them on
'Cause
the
we
system.
can play the co-op on the second one. Which
The
is so,
we had the third game and we played the second one because that co-op is so good.
so good. All right, a couple quick hits here. Yeah, PlayStation 2.5 is coming out. I don't think they said when, but soon. Maybe tomorrow.
It's still in beta. They're testing it right
Okay.
now.
Well, I'd say before the release of Bloodborne. So I'd say late this week.
Oh, you think it's gonna be that soon? I
Yes,
think it
I
would
do.
come out. Does it come out on Tuesdays or do they just update
Actually,
it? Whenever?
no. You know, they could roll this out the same day Music Unlimited goes offline and Spotify comes out or is supposedly coming out. And that's like late March, so that could be the week
Yeah,
after.
that
So
would be my
there
guess
is-
too. Then
So yeah, it's coming out. Some key things here. It's suspend, resume. So you put your console in rest mode with the game running, and when you hit the button, it'll pop right back into it. I actually saw a video of this in progress. It's really impressive. The boot time from being in rest mode to going back in the game is under 5 seconds. So it's really
That's
cool. Really cool.
that's really cool because that's exactly like this. There are times when like I'm
Yeah,
in a game, I don't want to leave it paused because I might do something that might take like an hour, but I don't want to turn it off because it might be like 30 minutes.
hmm
That's perfect. I would absolutely
yeah,
use that.
that's really cool. The other things, you can remap the buttons, which is useful because it's like a disability thing for people
Hmm.
like don't have full use of their hands or whatever. It makes it easier for them, which I think is really cool for them to take the time to put that in. Because I know that there's like MLB The Show is one of the only games that you could do that, and there's always these stories about how MLB The Show is like a lot of disabled people love that game because of all the options it gave you. It's actually this really cool story about this guy, and that'll be the show. Basically, you do the show mode, and you go through a career. And he's disabled, but he used to play baseball, and he was finally able to play it once they switched the controls. And he actually played it like an actual baseball player. He only played one game a day, and he didn't use any of the fast forward things. So like when you play, usually like you only do your at bats, and then it gives you like 30% of your fielding opportunities. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
like
It's
like
the show.
yeah, exactly. So it's like go play the field for this chance. You'll like field a ground ball, but he just turned all that off. So he would actually play like 2.5 hour games, like he was actually playing baseball, and like even innings where he'd be in the field and nothing came to him. So I always thought that story was cool. And
That
like
is cool.
he did like a nine. He did this for like 9 years or something.
Uh,
Uh, anyway, so that's coming out, and then the last thing in there is you can delete trophies of games that you got 0% in, which is good for people who love trophies.
for people who it really upsets some people. I
Yeah,
don't care, but some people.
I don't care either. I won't even take the time to go back and delete any of the things I
Yeah.
happen to have 0 in. All right. Another quick one here. We got Titanfall 2 is coming out. It's multi-platform, which is I think expected, and it's in development, which is good. So basically, if you want to play Titanfall 2, play Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, we're not shot. We call this. We're like Titanfall
No.
2 is going to be multi-platform.
Yeah, and we'll
We're not-
play it, but we're just saying.
and we'll play it, but
I think by the time that comes out, the whole concept of the boosting around and all that stuff might have lost its luster. But the Titans are a different animal than the exosuit.
yeah.
But
We said it before. They need a single player. They need more Titans.
I'm sure this will have single player in it.
Yeah,
so.
I think so. I hope so. So
All right. The perma
yeah, let me explain this one.
I saw this on Kotaku. I didn't read it, but I'm interested to see what's going on with
so
this.
basically, there's this game called what's it called?
Epsilon. Mhm.
Upsilon
Sure.
Circuit, which is basically you get to play it once. It's going to be a public game that I think there's only one game going on, and it's kind of like almost like Diablo, kind of like that.
That's what I saw one screenshot, and I was like, "Oh, it looks like Diablo."
Yeah, like that's kind of what it is. It's kind of a loot over the top down kind of game, fantasy like, and it's kind of a group game in the sense that you play it once, and if you die, you can never play it again. Like you as a person can never play the game again. And what happens is it's going to be all streamed on Twitch, and the audience gets to play. So I think there's going to be a way that you sign up or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's eventually your turn, and then you play until you die. And the thing that happens is, what's really cool is everything you do, you gain experience, but you don't get it. The audience gets it, and they get to vote who gets the experience. So if they don't like you, they're just not going to give you anything and let you die and get someone else in there. So they called it like Twitch plays Pokemon versus like Diablo or something, because it's Twitch really playing the game, motivating the people to do their things. But I think it's just a cool concept that like you get one
is a
chance
cool
and you
concept.
can never play this game again.
That'll be fun. It'll be cool. I might tune in just to see what it's all about. So
It's just I like that with all the Kickstarters and indie developers, you're seeing these cool little things happening. Like a few years ago, you wouldn't see games like this existing.
yeah, we live in a game. We live in a game. Neil, we live in a game. I meant to tell you we're in Tron. We live in a world where games come out. It's a fun time. All right. And lastly, we'll just mention this briefly because we talked about Bravely Default for like 20 minutes. The Bravely second trailer was released, which I'm refusing to watch because it's too far away from my liking. But
I watched it.
you watched it. which means nothing because he's only played an hour of
I was gonna
default.
say it did nothing for me, but all the comments under it were just like, "Oh my god, the music is incredible." And like they were just all
The
talking
music
like
in that game is good. Yeah.
the music. That's what I even texted you that. Like as soon as I heard the music, I was like, "I'm gonna love this game." It was like 10 minutes into it, and so it was like almost a nostalgia trip because it's all in Japanese. So unless if you speak it, you have no idea what's going on. But basically, it's kind of one of those things like keeping the hype train going. Bravely Second's coming. It's the same style. Music's there. Stuff like that's there. Gonna be a good game. I'm calling it already. I've only played 1 hour of the first game.
I'm going to go along and say the Bravely Second will in fact be a good game. So that's the news. That's all you need to know. Don't dare go anywhere else. We'll find you. All right, Neil. Before we wrap things up here, let's talk about what we've been playing. What have you been playing?
So of course, been playing some Call of Duty Zombies, but that's nothing new.
We have been.
Did get to level 29. I'm going to put that up on YouTube at some point, which just the last round. You're here. You found it. Just the last round, level 29, gets crazy, whatever. The game I've really been playing, which I'm really enjoying a lot, is Ori and the Blind Forest. We talked about this last week. It's a 2D side-scrolling game. Great music. Really pretty. If you watch the opening cinematic, you may cry. You probably will. I cried a little bit. Steve cried. He hasn't admitted it yet. I don't think you haven't even seen it, have you?
I don't even know what this game looks like, but everyone keep talking about it.
Look up the trailer, watch the trailer. It's got one of the saddest openings ever. It's a really fun game in the fact that it's hard to explain, but it's like got that fantasy feel. It's very flowy, like it's not Twitch like Rayman, like it's very like slow jump, but I don't know, he does like 360 spins every time he jumps. It's a very cool game. It's a cool concept. There's like a forest dying. You're trying to find out why. There's all these weird creatures.
Spoilers, Neil.
you get to level up.
You get to level up.
Oh yeah, there's like abilities and stuff. It's like a game. But basically,
where did they come up with that idea?
The it's bigger than I thought. Like you can explore the whole map. I thought it'd be like usually 2D side scrolls like mission based, and you just run left to right.
It's a Metroidvania.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. And so I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm only I think 25% done, but I'm just starting to get the hang of it. What I really want to say is I'm playing on the PC, and I hate PC gaming. My system has crashed like 5 times already. I tried hooking a controller up to it. My square button became the X button. My R2 button was the select button. Everything went weird with it. I fixed that. Yeah. I'm just not using a controller anymore. And I wish this was on the PS4, because I'm never going to play an Xbox game on an Xbox. And I'm enjoying it. I'm struggling through the PC difficulties. I don't know why people like PC gaming. But that's me. I'm having fun with it. What are you playing, Steve?
I played COD with you, Zombies, but I've really been playing is Codenames Team, which is a game I've been looking forward to for a long time since its trailer came out last E3. I'm sure a lot of people know what it is. It's made by the same people that make Fire Emblem. They made Advanced Wars, so it's a tactical RPG. It's grid-based, but I talked about it a couple podcasts ago when I played the demo. Basically, it's like a third-person shooter, kind of basically the exact same game as XCOM and Valkyria Chronicles. And it's fun. I mean, a lot of reviews out there are saying that, it's like really like long alien turns. It annoys the hell out of me because it's clearly part of the game.
Love that voice though that you just did with that. All the reviewers sitting behind the keyboards.
Every map has high ground, and basically, like in any battle, you want the high ground. So if you're dumb and you don't go up to the high ground, the enemy turns are boring because what you're doing is you're just like looking into a box that's in front of you because you can't see anything, and like the enemy turn takes like 45 seconds to a minute to happen, and they're all moving. You're like, I can't see anything. Like everyone's complaining, like, why isn't there a top-down view? Because they didn't want there to be a top-down view. Because if you get on the high ground, you have a top-down view. So just get to the high ground, and you can see all the aliens move, and that's when the game becomes fun. Because, like, I have like my sniper guy up top, and I can see like, hey, if I didn't have him up here, I wouldn't know that as soon as I turn this corner, there's an alien there. And like, there's a reason the turns are long because they want you to pay attention to what it is. It's essentially like a game of chess, just like Fire Emblem is. But Fire Emblem's a different game because it always has a top-down view. That's why its opponents' turns are so fast, because it doesn't matter how fast it happens, you'll be able to see what it is anyway. It's no different than like a Fog of War. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if you're down low with no field of vision, there's basically a Fog of War because you can't see what's going on. So you want to like actually use strategy. It's a strategy RPG, and get above the people so you can see what's going on below you. But the game itself, it's really fun. I think. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. All the characters are from like American history or American folktale. So the main character is Henry Fleming, which is the main character of the Red Badge of Courage. Right now in my party is the Lion from The Wizard of Oz, and a black guy whose name I cannot remember. Its last name is Jones. I saw what book he's from once, but I forget what it is now. But there's like 20 characters eventually you'll get. They all have different guns, which is cool. They all have different special abilities, which is cool. Basically, you go through the game and you can unlock new guns to put onto them. I just got one that shoots banana bombs, which is funny. And then there's like a crossbow that shoots plungers. It's really, really just funny. And basically how it works is I think there's 12 missions, but each mission consists of 3 different chapters. And it's displayed as if it's a comic book. Like basically, like it shows you, and like you're going from like frame to frame or whatever when you're going through cutscenes. Like you're reading a comic book, and at the end of each one it says like, "Oh, to be continued" or whatever. So that's really cool, and it's fun. There's some really cool stuff in there where you have to know basically, just like any strategy game. You know how you can only move a certain amount per turn or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
So basically, if you leave, depending on your character, what gun he's using, if you leave a certain amount, so like, let's say you're allowed to move 6 spaces, but you only choose to move 3, then like, while it's not your turn, if the enemy turns the corner, because you left some power, you can fight back. But if you used all your power, you can't fight back. So like, it's like a cool thing of like, well, if I turn this corner now, like, I'm going to be able to attack him, but then I'm just vulnerable for the entire round where he can do whatever he wants to me. So it's better to not get to that corner and leave some steam. That's what all the stuff runs in. So that if he turns the corner, I can attack him and stun him, basically. So he can attack me. So there's some cool stuff in there. And it's just fun, you know, doing your party system. The only complaint I have is that your characters don't level up. The guns level up, but your characters don't.
A little strange.
Yeah, it is. But there's like, you like put Steam, like you collect, obviously Steam. You collect Steam, which you are able to unlock new upgrades for your guns and stuff. And it's fun. You know, you have the typical, like, you can give some guy like a healing thing to heal people and all that. Okay. Like I said, there's a demo. Download the demo and see if it's for you. I mean, I'm saying it's not for everyone, but I'm really enjoying it. As soon as I'm done recording this at Neo, I'm actually going to play some more. And I think it's funny too. It really is. There's a lot of charm in it, and it's like I was saying last week. It's a new IP. It's cool, and it's just ridiculous. It's unlike anything you've ever played before. And I have one note that I want to say. It's called Codename Steam in America, but in Japan it's called Codename Lincoln versus Aliens, which I think is 100 times better game because the whole game centers around Abraham Lincoln faking his own death in order to put together a band of characters to fight aliens. That is the best single sentence sell for a game that ever existed. Like, just think about that. And by the way, the first 3 characters you get are the guy from the Red Badge of Courage, the lion from the Wizard of Oz, and that other guy I forget. It's completely off the wall insane. It's really cool though.
So it sounds
funny.
Like first off, let me say that it's amuses me that this is from Japan and it's not like some American developer, because it's
so funny. It really is. Basically, if you like Valkyria Chronicles, play it, because everywhere I see says this game's just like Valkyria Chronicles. If you like that, play this. And I've never played that.
That's why I want to.
I enjoy Intelligent Systems, which is who made this and makes Fire Emblem and makes Advance Wars. So that's why I was so interested in it. So
I
I love
thought
it. It's
I thought you were just being like really pretentious, like saying this system is intelligent, and I'm like I enjoy
no,
intelligent gaming systems. No, let me.
no. That's the name
So
of the
going
development.
back down to I want to mention this one thing, and then we can move on to whatever So I didn't know how the top down thing worked or the enemy's turns worked, and the way you say it is
Hmm.
that you were always behind your characters. You never look
Yeah,
top down on their turn. And so that makes sense. I get why that happens, and that's what they chose to do. And you can't fault them because they chose to do that. That's clearly
yeah.
they know what to do. Because in Valkyria Chronicles, let me just say what they. This is probably why everyone's upset because they're used to. I guarantee they're used to this system instead. Is that your character when it's the enemy's turn to move? It's the same premise that if you get your character into good sight lines, like I would always get my
Hmm.
sniper up top so they could see the entire map. So I would see it from my sniper's point of view where they're moving. But if I
Hmm.
couldn't see them, it would be at the top of the map, and it would just have a question mark, and it would show me the generic position that they're moving. So like if a map was like I don't know, if they were running from
Okay.
like one building to another, the map would like hover from one building and just move to the other building. But I didn't know
Okay.
the kind of troop. I didn't know where they were in that building. I didn't know
Yeah.
what they were doing. But if I had my sniper, it would be like that guy's a machine gunner. He went over to
Hmm.
that bag and he knelt down. So like, is it like that or just it? You get a
Well,
blank screen.
I'm pretty early. No, it's not like a blank screen. Like you'll just pretty much it's out of view and you can like hear them moving. So like you
Oh,
can
so just
kind
like staring at a wall kind of thing.
you're not staring at a wall. Like if you're with your sniper, like as long as you can cycle through whoever in your team, like when the enemy's moving, you can cycle through all your players so that you
Okay,
can get. So if you're good, like you could put one guy on one side, one guy on the other side, and they're both high. So no matter what's happening, you probably see what's going on.
gotcha.
Uh, but like in the beginning, before you position them, yes, like it's basically like the troops are rushing each other, so there's really you can't see anything. So like you'll like do your first turn, and then they'll do their first turn, and because you're all on ground level, there's nothing to see. You know what I mean? And like that's fine though, because like it's not like an action game. Like I'm saying, like this is probably just something you'll play and watch TV at the same time, and there's plenty to do like just like cycling through and like like thinking or looking around because there's a lot of collectibles that like when the alien turn's going on, like look around and see if there's any collectibles around you that you're gonna want to get on your next turn.
It
So
just
stuff like that.
it sounds like not that it's not a bad game. It's not anything. It just sounds and when I call it slow, that's not a bad thing. It just means you have to
Yeah, it's
know it's that
I
before you
think
get
it's
into
yeah,
it.
I think that's it. Like people are like it's deliberate for a reason. Like there's if they wanted to, they easily could have added a button that says speed through the enemy turn. There's no reason they
Yeah,
couldn't. But they didn't for a reason. And once you come to terms with that, I think you can put that behind you and try to enjoy the game. Because a lot of people are getting hung up on that. And I don't think it's really that big of a deal. I mean, like all like in any other game, because everything else is streamlined basically it's really easy to like swap out weapons and heal and all that.
hmm
It's just time that you would have spent in a menu anyway, but like basically because they've made everything so easy you don't have to go into menus, so like while you could be going into a menu when they're moving there's nothing to do, there's nothing like oh like I want to equip this and heal there or do whatever because that's all easily done. So whatever. I mean, download the demo. That's the entire first chapter, the demo, so you'll get a good idea. You get 3 missions. But the only thing I'll say about demo is you only get 2 playable characters. Once you get your full party of 4, it gets a lot more fun because there's so much more strategy that's involved. So that's my Codename Steam soapbox, guys. Play it. I think it's fun. Reviews have been all over the map, but I think that's just a product of the genre anyway. It's not very popular.
yeah. I think it's gonna be people. I think people are gonna like it. Like I think it's gonna be one of
Yeah,
those things where like as it goes on, someone will pick up like, oh my god, this game is amazing. Why would it get this score? Like I think it's just people were expecting
different.
literally Valkyria Chronicles. Like they kind of
Yeah.
like it sounds like from what I've read and stuff, they wanted almost that exact game. And it's
Hmm.
not. It's not a bad thing. It's just it's a different game. It's got its own character. It's clearly unique on its own terms.
It's literally the most unique new IP that's come out in years, in my opinion. It is so strange. It is so weird. Like, and I think it's got a really cool aspect of well, I've got these 4 characters. I haven't. There's 20 characters. I only have 4, so I have 16 more characters that are going to unlock. Like, who could they possibly be? You know. like they all come from American canon. I know Tom Sawyer is one of them, so there's another one. But like,
Okay.
what else? What else could there be? Like, you're like, oh, it's Teddy Roosevelt. Like, it's ridiculous. It's funny. And they all have like really funny personalities or whatever, and they have like these dumb like there's a lot of like dumb Steam puns that they'll say to each other when they're fighting. So it's fun. And also the multiplayer in it is really cool. It's like speed chess. Like they randomly generate a board, and you pick from your players that you've unlocked, and you make a team of 4, and then you just play against each other moving one at a time or whatever, or your team or whatever, and you go back and forth like you're playing chess. But it's Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, and
I think we can all agree it's a unique game. It's a fun game, and if you want to play it, try the demo before
exactly. Play it.
Before Steve
I'm not
kills
saying
us all.
Play the demo, okay? Play the demo. Anyway, one more thing to say before we get to closing. You might be seeing our videos hosted somewhere else if you watch, because we have a little partnership, I believe it's called, right, Neil? With MASH and Zoom In TV. So basically, all that means is if we make some content that they enjoy, they might be hosting it, and if that happens to happen to this video, there'll be a link to our channel in the description, so you can follow us there and comment wherever. So just a heads up if you see our content otherwise or somewhere else. Anyway, do you want to pull this boat into dock? Because I think the lighthouse is wheeling us in.
God, I love you so much.
I've been thinking about that one since the start. Anyway,
that one was too rehearsed. It was.
Thanks for joining us for the 8th Koalafied Gamer Guys podcast. You can find this every Tuesday on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, why don't you follow us or subscribe rather? Why don't you subscribe to us? You're here. You could do it. Hit the subscribe button. You'll get an email every time we post, or not an email, you get a notification on YouTube every time we post a video, and you can watch and listen to every podcast ever. And you could listen to Code Name Steam forever.
Bravely default.
Yes. Follow us on Twitter at Koalafied GGS. That's our Twitter name. Koalafied Gamer Guys didn't fit. Twitch is www.twitch.tv/QualifiedGamerGuys. Follow us on there. Neil might stream Final Fantasy. We should stream Zombies eventually.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to do. I'm going to stream some of the demo for Final Fantasy 15. I know there's a boss fight. I want to record that boss fight, but I mean, I'm not going to promise that.
Go on.
If I can't beat it, I'm not going to promise it yet.
Even if we're not streaming, there's plenty of archived broadcasts that you could watch that I'm sure you'll enjoy.
Absolutely.
So yeah, check that out. So that's Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Did I miss anything other than my friend?
A blog.
Yes, our blog. Just Google Koalafied Gamer Guys. We're all over the web.
We're taking it over.
And if you like our intro music and outro music, head over to soundcloud.com/gearheadedm. That's my friend who made that song. So if you like music like that, you can check that out, download some stuff, help him out. And last but not least, if you have something to say, if you like the podcast, if you hate the podcast, if you want to ask us a question, you want us to talk about something, hit us with an email at qualifiedgamerguys@gmail.com. We'll read it on the show, we'll talk about it, and we'll give you a shout out, So, that does it for the 8th episode of the Koalafied Gamer Guys podcast. Neil, do you have anything you want to add, or did we cover it all?
Will you marry me?
Tune in next time for the answer. All right, everyone. See you later.
See you guys.